Part of getting the house dried in is to actually close up these huge openings. So we're gonna install the garage doors that we bought off Facebook Marketplace. And if you remember, we had to raise the headers to make them fit. Now we need to make the wall a little bit narrower to make it fit as well. Our wall is 16'3" rough opening, and we need to make it a little bit less than 15' rough opening. So we want our finished opening to be 178 inches. So I'm gonna come off of my finished side here. And we'll mark it at 178. And that tells us that we need a 15 1/4 inch board. So because that 15 1/4 inch board is sitting on the concrete, we're gonna use a scrap piece of pressure treat that we have laying around. We're also going to put foam tape underneath our board, and actually even we'll wrap it up so they don't have any non-pressure treated wood making contact with the cement. Down. Excellent. So if you remember, we got 15' wide by 10' high garage doors. They're custom doors, so the person we got them from couldn't return them, but they're also non-insulated. So what we're gonna do next is we're going to insulate the door.
We're gonna cover ourselves with styrofoam.
It's like winter.
Building in the snow globe.
Building in a snow globe. So this garage door system has 4 panels that are 19.5 inches of foam and 2 panels that are 16 inches of foam. We're gonna cut 4 of these at 45.5 and the rest of them at 44 inches, and they'll fit perfectly in the garage door. So our first step in installing the doors is to get these panels insulated. We found that it works best to insulate them before we put any hardware on, because when the screws come through here, it makes it hard to slide the insulation in. So these end ones, we just drive in, and then gotta kind of bow it into place. And then the next one just gets easier. So we'll start with our bottom bracket, in, slides up. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the lift cables. And onto the hinges. So first row of hinges are labeled number 1. All 5 hinges are the number 1 hinge. We're gonna get the first bolt started. Next, we're gonna install the stabilizing strut. So I think because this is a 15-foot door, this stabilizing brace might be for a 16-foot door that's been cut. So these holes here don't actually line up with anything. So we have to drill our holes here to find our screw holes. Now that those are drilled, so in order to keep our insulation in place, we are installing little wedges here that will hold the foam in place. And it gives it kind of a nice log cabin-y wood accent. Yeah.
Okay, come my way. More.
I'm up against something, honey. There you go.
Okay, back. Right there is good for me.
Okay. So as we build these panels, each one's going to stack on top of the other one. We're going to screw the hinges together, but there's nothing to keep it against the building until we put the track on. So we're going to put screws in just right next to it. These first ones will just go in without a washer, and then as we go up, we'll add washers to hold them in a little bit better. That hinge is upside down.
Oh. So Jeff is going around and attaching the screw to the previous panel to the one we just assembled, like that. So this side, you can see there's a black washer there. That just helps hold it a little bit more securely while these doors are getting higher. Now we have 3 panels up.
So this top panel gets a completely different hinge. It gets mounted with hinges at the bottom of it, but at the top, it just has this adjustable roller on either side. So next we're going to install our garage door opener bracket that came with the garage doors. We've cut it off to the proper length according to the instructions. And now we set it in here, lined up for the hinge below it to attach for a screw in the center and the screw at the top. And then after we do that, we can finish attaching our support strut.
So the rollers, these go in all of the hinges that we put on. And the ones that have the double, they go the furthest away from the top of the door. And that's as far as I can jump. And that's also...
The next thing we need to do before we put the side track on is make sure that the lift cable is behind each of the rollers. And in order to hold it in place, we'll just put a little strap of tape here. And we'll do the same on the other side. Tape. Thank you. So as we put on the track brackets, we're gonna do the right side first, and we start with the shortest of the brackets, which for some reason is numbered 5. We're just gonna put them on loose so that we can adjust them. So they've got these nice little heads. You want those on the inside so they don't interfere with the rollers. Now we're gonna go to our next size, which is 6. And then, what do you think? 7. All right, now we're gonna go put the right track on. So when we put this track on, we're leaving our screws in holding the door because we're still not attached to anything. We want to have about a 1/2 inch or about a finger width from the top or the bottom. Once we have that, then we'll plumb it with our 6-foot level and temporarily attach it to the wall with some screws. Then we will pilot hole and install some lags. The instructions also say that we want to have this lifted up off the ground about 1/2 inch. So we've just got a couple door shims. We'll set them under there, and then we'll measure our width and plumb. Okay, now that we have the cable behind all of the rollers, we're gonna put our track on. We've got our brackets on in the right order. We're just gonna slide it right over the first roller and just kind of roll it together. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have about a 1/2 inch clearance and that it is perfectly plumb. We've got our 1/2 inch gap. And then what we're going to do is before we drill and install lag bolts, I'll just hold this in place with a screw. So now we'll install our flag bracket. Now that our track is in place and we're ready to adjust it, we're going to take out these temporary screws that were holding the door into the jam. So we've got our brackets temporarily installed with screws. Now we're going to drill a pilot hole about halfway in the middle of this so we have adjustments either way. All right.
Sort of hollow board.
I think it was a hollow board. That is a soft board. So we've got our brackets permanently mounted with our lag screws, and now we're going to adjust our door plumb this direction. And plumb is basically just making sure that it's up against the wood here in the front, but not rubbing so much that it's going to cause a problem. So just kind of give it a push, make sure it's kind of snug. Now we can pull out our door shims.
Stay tuned for our next video where we finish the garage doors. If you're enjoying our content, the best way you can help out our channel is by liking this video and subscribing.